Hello friends. So I'm going to be doing something a little different today. I'm going to be reading something off my phone and interspersing some clips of me working on various things. So, without further ado, let's go. I want to sprinkle in some video essays of sorts with clips of me working and my thoughts on art making. And if they do well, then fantastic. But if they don't do well, then I don't care. Anyway, I've been a full-time freelancer for about 8 years now, so I've been around the block. I've learned a thing or two, but I also have learned more to learn. It's funny being good at that, but it's also funny being new at something else, which is YouTube. I have definitely put in my 10,000 hours as an artist and an illustrator and a maker, and I've definitely put in my 10,000 hours in watching YouTube my whole life, but I am definitely still a baby when it comes to editing and filming and captioning and thumbnail making and etc. All the things that come with making YouTube videos. And with any new art practice, I consider this an art practice, I like to dive headfirst and figure out all the logistics later. What's that saying? It's like, do it and ask for forgiveness later. Kind of like that, I suppose. I think the reason I tend to dive headfirst is because I have an addictive personality. So when I set my mind on something, I don't let go until I can do it. Even if all I do is that thing just once, as long as I can keep my jack of all trades card, then I'm happy. So during the panorama, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if we can say that word on YouTube. I don't know the rules. So like 2022, I started a quilt with lots of embroidery for the first time in my life. I had learned to cross stitch when I was 10, I learned to hem and take in my pants when I was 14, I dabbled with crochet for a day and quit that exact same day when I was 17, and I've done various small embroidery and sewing projects on my clothes since then, but I have never undertaken something that was not clothing related, was strictly fiber art, just for decoration. So I also have had very little tools. I, just always had like a small kit. I did not have a sewing machine, but the other day I bought a new one. And for a long time I was just like, I'm just gonna do it by hand. But I bought a new one. I bought a sewing machine. I finally caved in. So whenever I start a new practice, I like to do research. I think that's my favorite part of the whole art making process. I like to consume myself almost to death with a new idea, reading books about it, watching movies and documentaries, going to museums to look at this new thing, whatever I can get my grubby hands on, but not buying tools. I don't like to buy a bunch of tools and then have them sit around and not get used, just in case the obsession doesn't last as long as I think it might. So whenever I do the research, I tend to keep it to things I can consume rather than buying things. And my partner, she never hears the end of it, and in turn becomes an expert herself. So I found time to commit to this new practice of fiber art, aside from my regular freelance design and art job in 2022, like I said. And I would do it in front of the TV at the end of the day, or on the weekends I would roll out of bed and immediately start and try to slam as much progress as I could into one day. Sometimes I'd sit at the sewing table for so long that when I stood up, my back sounded like a creaky old door, and my hands would be so calloused from holding things in a weird way. And also because I hate using thimbles. That's my fault. Anyway, I was obsessed, and then life got busy, and I wasn't able to finish my quilt. But I finished the big middle block that contained all the embroidery and illustrations, but I had abandoned the side checker bits because hand quilting those took forever. This project has sat here for 2 years, waiting to be finished, and I really want to finish it. This past weekend, like I said, I randomly bought a sewing machine after years of being intimidated by it. I'm not big on machines. I like being able to complete jobs with just my hands or with rudimentary tools, even if it means it takes a little bit longer. I don't like fixing machines when they're broken, and they frustrate me when I have to figure out how to fix them, and I have to read a manual. And that's purely just because I'm stubborn. I'm so stubborn. After I banded this quilt, that doesn't mean the obsession went away totally. It just sort of shifted to a new way of thinking. And when I was working on this quilt, I had so many ideas for other quilts I wanted to make. I had tons of drawings and doodles and dreams and fantasies about quilts that I wanted to make. But I knew going at this snail's pace that those were never going to happen. So I didn't want all these ideas to get abandoned. So I started making drawings and paintings with them. And so this year I had my first solo show from my art residency. And every single drawing and painting had a quilting element to it. And so fast forward to this weekend, I started sewing my first quilt pieces onto a painting that I have done as a test for things I can do with both of these tools in the future, combining the painting elements with the fiber art elements that I have put in practice for both. And so my obsession has built back up again, but just in a new way. I'm stoked to start using the skill I started developing 2 years ago in this new way, and it makes me even more excited this go around to get the quilting aspect right and finally finish this project that has been sitting here for so long. Because I think once I finish that, it will inspire so many new pieces, and I'm stoked for that. I always have to keep in mind that comparison is the thief of joy. Of course, my first go-arounds are not going to be perfect. This first quilt that I done on my sewing machine, it is wobbly as hell. I'm embracing it because I know the reason why it looks like that is because I'm still new to it. And that is beautiful. And I'm totally embracing it. I'm not, guilting myself over it, or I'm not restarting. I'm just going with it. I heard somebody say this on a YouTube video not that long ago, and I do feel the same way. That they treat every new piece as if the next one is going to be better. As if the one I'm working on now is just the training wheels for the one that comes next, and the one that comes after that, and so on. So 2 years ago, the first quilt I started doing by hand has just been the training wheels for all the solo show residency paintings and drawings that I've done, and then those have just been the training wheels for what I'm trying to do now, the tests that I'm doing now. And I think that's the biggest thing I've learned through this process of the last 2 years, is that my obsession has just shifted, and I think I've found something that is going to work so well for me. And I'm glad I stuck around to see that. And I'm glad that I finally embraced something that will make my process even faster. I'm kind of one of those people that is a little slow to embrace new technology sometimes. And because I'm stubborn. And so I know sewing machines are not new technology, but to me they're new technology because it's a learning curve. And I think sometimes learning curves for machinery is what makes me scared to jump in. But I'm glad I jumped in. Anyway, regardless, if you have an idea, don't be scared. Don't be scared of all the steps it takes to make that idea happen. Because, come on, I have a freaking sewing machine now. And I'm gonna finish that quilt. And I'm gonna prove it. I'm gonna prove that I'm gonna finish that thing. Even if it looks like shit at the end. I'm still gonna finish it, okay? Like, I figured that out all on my own. With very little math. Which is impressive, because you have to do a lot of math in quilting, unfortunately. I went to art school. I don't do math. But anyway, yeah, this is the test. And, like I said, looks wonky. But, it's gonna be cool to see where that little guy takes me even a year from now. and I hope you guys stick around for that. Hope you enjoyed this sort of video that's a little different, me just sort of rambling, and hopefully it inspires you to go get obsessed with something or something else you're already obsessed with in your art. Maybe you transform it to something new. Maybe you try out combining that with something else that you've never combined before, like I have been with the quilting patterns and like the plein air painting. Like combine two things that maybe nobody else has done before. See what happens. I don't know. Do some portraits in only neon paint or something. I don't know. Whatever you like to do. Just like, if you're feeling stuck, I think this has been the thing that's helped me the most, is like getting obsessed with something new and then bringing that back to the thing that I knew how to do. I got obsessed with fiber art and quilting, which I had never really done before, and I brought it back to my regular art practice of drawing and painting, and brought it back to like me going outside and drawing nature. And it's created something kind of incredible that I never thought I would be making anything like this. But I'm glad I am, because it brings me so much joy. And yeah, anyway, hope you got something out of this. If you didn't, that's fine. You don't have to get something out of everything. But if you did make it this far, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe or whatever. Shop my Dick Blake link if you need some art supplies. And go make art. And don't compare yourself to other artists, because you're better than that. Okay, bye.